Hello everyone, I'm Tika Rofiana from class 4B and my student ID ends with 072. Today I will be retelling the story of the novel The Judge by Steve Martini. This novel is a legal thriller about murder and hidden secrets. The story centers on a defense attorney named Paul Madriani who tries to prove that a former judge, Armando Acosta, isn't guilty of murdering a young woman named Brittany Hall. Brittany was a police science student who worked as an undercover decoy in a prostitution sting operation. This scandal also dragged Acosta, who was still a judge at the time, into a major public controversy. The arrest destroyed his reputation and career. From this, the prosecutor named Coleman Klein believes that Acosta had a strong motive to kill Brittany. So, the story begins when Paul and his legal team, Harry Hines and Lenore Goya, take on the difficult task of defending Acosta. At first, the available evidence looks very damaging. Brittany's body is discovered wrapped in a blanket and abandoned inside a dumpster behind an office building. She has suffered severe head injuries and signs of strangulation, making the case appear to be a carefully planned murder. And several pieces of indirect evidence seem to point toward Acosta. As the investigation continues, Paul begins to uncover clues that don't fit the prosecutor's theory. He discovers a missing page from Brittany's phone book, and along with secret relationships and other hidden information. These clues lead him to believe that the case is more complicated than it first appears, and that the real killer may not be Acosta. And then, at the same time, the prosecution calls Kimberly Hall, Brittany's 6-year-old daughter, to testify. One night of the murder, Kimberly had been hiding inside a closet while her mother was attacked. The prosecution hopes her testimony will help establish the timeline of the crime and reveal who was with Brittany that night. However, because she is still very young and traumatized, Kimberly cannot remember the events clearly, so her testimony provides only limited information. After that, the trial officially starts. Prosecutor Klein builds a strong case against Acosta. He tells the jury that Acosta won revenge because Brittany had ruined his career and reputation. Klein also presents physical evidence, including horsehair, fibers from a blanket, and other forensic evidence found at the crime scene. Together with witness statements, these pieces of evidence seem to connect Acosta to the murder. In response, Paul attacks the weak points in the prosecution theory. He repeatedly reminds the jury that there are no eyewitnesses, no murder weapon, no confession, and no direct evidence that places Acosta at the crime scene. Paul argues that the prosecution's case is mostly based on assumptions rather than certainty. So, outside the courtroom, the situation becomes increasingly dangerous. Paul and Lenore began to face intimidation. After Lenore is suddenly dismissed by the new district attorney, Coleman Klein, important records related to the Acosta prostitution sting cannot be found. One night, a man posing as a cable technician secretly plants cocaine in Paul's bathroom in an apparent attempt to frame him. Soon afterward, armed men disguised as police officers raid the house, apparently searching for the missing case files. Paul is beaten, the house is damaged, and Lenore struggles to protect Sarah, Paul's daughter. Meanwhile, Paul's investigation leads him to another surprising discovery. He learns that Brittany had once worked on Coleman Klein's political campaign. At first, this connection seems unimportant, but Paul gradually suspects that their relationship was far more personal than anyone had realized. Later, the prosecution present again what they believe is their strongest evidence, a broken pair of glasses found at the crime scene. The glasses are very rare and can be linked to Acosta through purchase records and his lens prescription. This becomes a major blow to the defense and strengthens the jury's belief that Acosta may have been at the scene of the crime. And then after that, the prosecution calls Oscar Nichols, a judge, and Acosta's longtime friend as a witness. Nah, Nichols testifies that Acosta once spoke angrily about Brittany and even said that death would be too good for her. At the same time, Kimberly is called again to testify. This time, she is asked to identify voices she may have heard on the night of the murder. However, the process fails, and she is unable to recognize or distinguish the recorded voices. As a result, her testimony once again provides no legal certainty. This development changes the direction of the trial. For the first time, the jury begins to consider the possibility that someone other than Acosta may have been involved in the murder. So, then one night, Paul and Lenore return to an important clue from the crime scene. During the struggle inside Brittany's apartment, the killer appears to have lost the valuable golden cufflink, but it was never recovered during the investigation. Their suspicion grows after Kimberly mentions a hidden treasure inside her teddy bear, making them believe the missing cufflink may still be there. So then, Paul and Lenore secretly enter the evidence storage room at the courthouse when everything is quiet. However, they are surprised to find Klein already inside. When Lenore accidentally turns on the lights, Klein suddenly attacks them and holds Lenore at knife point. During the fight, Lenore manages to take the golden cufflink, while Paul fights Klein and gets injured. Lenore escapes with the cufflink, and Klein chases after her. Even though Paul is hurt, he follows them to stop Klein. A chase follows inside the building and ends near the train tracks. In the chaos, Klein is hit by the train and dies while trying to get the cufflink back. After Klein's death, the golden cufflink becomes the key piece of evidence. It matches his expensive custom-made clothing and places him inside Brittany's apartment during the struggle. The investigation finally uncovers the truth. Klein had secretly been having an affair with Brittany Hall after she worked on his political campaign. On the night of the murder, they argued intensely about their relationship and the Acosta scandal, which threatened Klein's political career and marriage. So, during the struggle, Brittany suffered a serious head injury after striking the sharp edge of a glass coffee table. Klein then strangled her, then wrapped her body in a blanket and dumped it behind his office in an attempt to hide the crime. Together with Kimberly's testimony and other evidence, the coupling finally proves that Klein, not Acosta, was the real murderer. In the end, the entire case against Acosta collapses. Judge Radovich declares a mistrial. All charges are dropped and Acosta is finally released. So, that's the end of my story.